Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO.
Welcome and thank you. Always appreciate you joining us. Final weekend of August 2021. Wow. And a return guest. We like to get Webb on a few times a year at least to get our finger on the pulse of the housing market around this half of the state of Montana. Webb Brown, who's the CEO with MRMLS, Montana Regional Multiple Listing Service. I've interviewed you enough. I'm getting pretty good at saying that name, aren't I?
Hey, you're doing great, yeah.
I'm nailing it. How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
Oh, terrific. A quick overview of the position for folks who may not have heard you on before, but what all are you responsible for as the CEO of the MRMLS?
Well, good. We'll start with a little history, too. The Missoula Organization of Realtors, Multiple Listing Service, and Northwest Montana, basically based out of Kalispell, got together about 5 years ago and merged their two multiple listing services together, and then invited 4 more, Bitterroot Valley, Great Falls, Butte, and Helena multiple listing services to join them into one. That's why we have the regional, pretty much covering all the way over to the Great Falls, Helena, Butte areas and their surroundings as well. We actually have listings all over the state of Montana, but there are 2 other listing services, one based in the Bozeman area and one based in the Billings area. So, but about 3,300 subscribers. I started when the 4 other MLSs merged in, and they needed a full-time person, and I jumped in and have been working since that time after 20 years as the CEO of the Montana State Chamber of Commerce, and kind of retired and found retirement wasn't for me.
Right.
So, but I love it. It's great. A real change. The multiple listing services basically has a compilation of all of the listings available for sale. Now, not everything is on there, but it is by far the most comprehensive and complete listing of all properties, as well as some opportunities for agents to cooperate, compete and cooperate, what we call co-opetition,
right,
in the industry from a sound basis, and I guess kind of in a level playing field, if you will.
Now,
it's been great.
When you say 3,300 subscribers, that's not all realtors, is it? How does that break down in other professions?
Almost all realtors.
Right,
there are a few appraisers in there, but I would say it's probably and the appraisers are in there so they can access the data in our system and make their appraisals. And so I'd say 95% are realtors, agents.
Gosh, it sounds like so many. Now, do Montana real estate agents or those agents do they have to be members of the MRMLS?
A little bit complicated, but if the brokerage that they are associated with is a participant, what we call a participant in the system, then all agents in that brokerage have to. And again, as one of the most important and best tools that an agent can use, we have very, very high market penetration in the agents across our region, as well as quite a number of folks from the Bozeman area and Billings area who join up with our MLS so that they have access to our system and all the listings in it as well.
Got it. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Webb Brown, the CEO of the MRMLS. And I'll, of course, get back to some of the other advantages and benefits and what your agency offers, Webb. But I wanted to jump in right here. A front page article, the Wednesday Missoulian. The median sales price of homes sold in the Missoula area in the first 6 months of 2021, $430,000. That's according to a new report from the Missoula Organization of Realtors. That is a 22.9% increase over the median sales price for all of 2020. That was $350,000. But what was your reaction when you heard that, or maybe you're hearing it for the first time?
Well, yeah, I haven't checked out the paper, but in preparation for our conversation today, I did pull up some information. We just got new data as of the end of July. It's a little bit of a lag in there, but if that's the numbers they're reporting, and I think they get their information from us. So if it's through June, we got a little bit of an update for that even. And I will tell you, it's actually even more. What I'm looking at, and this is just the Missoula area for our MLS. We have it across the whole system as well.
Right.
But I actually show the median sales price through July of $467,000.
So in 1 month, so another 37,000 over these numbers in 1 month.
Yeah, now, and they may be looking at, now, they may have been reporting through the whole, year to date of 2021, which we're showing that number about 450. So, but it still would be an increase even over that. So it's a significant increase. You're looking at 20 plus. Well, actually, in our year to date, it's a 30 plus increase over the median sales price. And this is on single family homes, which is by far and away the majority of what we're looking at. However, what I'm also seeing in the Missoula market here in this report that we just got is a little bit of a decline in that median sales price for July. So I'll have to look at that data and talk with them and see what they were using. But when we back out even further and go to the whole region, which again is definitely the whole western half, not the western half of the state, but certainly the western third plus, $435,000 for the average, or for the median sales price through July for the whole region. Now that's a 28% increase, and this report does not show that dip. So there was some dip in the median sales price in Missoula just in the past month from our data. Now year to date, we're only showing a $402,000 median sales price, but that's still up 29.7, basically 30% increase over the prior year to date through July of 2020 to July of 2021. So it continues to go up, other than, like I say, this little blip that we're showing last month just for the Missoula area. But it's interesting how this continues to go. Yeah.
And the method to the median, I guess that's how I would say that, Webb, is when you look at that median home price, it's not saying, well, we sold 10 homes for $300,000, but then we sold one for $30 million, and that caused the spike. It's the methodology.
Yep, median means half of the sales were above that number and half were below. Exactly. So average sales price, that's where you take them all and lump them together and divide them by the number. So the average sales price for through July of 2021 was actually $553,000. So most economists and others say the median is really the more accurate, because you're right, that one can really skew the results. One or two, just a handful of kind of outside the parameters, whether it's low or high, can skew that average.
Sure.
But median is generally what folks use. But even if we're looking at average, we're still seeing those 25 to 30% increases over prior years and prior months. Yeah.
And this is a Missoula real estate show, but this is not the only part of the state where you're seeing these kinds of major upticks, right? Where else are how prices just skyrocketing?
Well, pretty much everywhere. And It was interesting. I think the last time we talked, of course, this was several months ago, but it was interesting because I think some of the biggest increases we were seeing were in Fergus County.
I was just going to say, that's right.
Very exact center of Montana with Lewis down there. But we always do the caveat there that there's a far less number of sales, and one or two can make the market go, even on a median side, can make it have some pretty big swings. But, we're pretty much seeing it across the board. The Great Falls area, Butte area, all of these do seem to be seeing these increases. Maybe not as significant, and the median level, the median price itself is not the same. But, we're seeing these across the board. But you're right, Missoula is one of our bigger areas.
Sure, right. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. And our guest, Webb Brown. Webb is the CEO of the Montana Regional Multiple Listing Service, the MRLS. Webb, obviously this has something to do with the influx of people moving into Montana. What are you seeing with those out-of-state buying trends that might be skewing things one direction or another?
Yeah, we get a lot of people, and we've seen some reports and other things. So, oh my gosh, the out-of-staters are flooding the market and buying up everything,
Yeah,
and we can't afford it. And actually, the Missoula Organization of Realtors did a great analysis recently, because most of the information that we use for where people come from, we don't track where the buyer is from on the MLS. So we don't know that. So mostly it's just kind of anecdotal. But MOR jumped into it and actually asked the lenders if they could provide some information, and of course mask it so they wouldn't get to personally identifiable information.
Okay.
Right yet. They showed about 6-point increase over the prior year. So a 6-point, I think it went from 12% out-of-staters buying to 18% out-of-staters buying. So a 6-point, not a 6% increase, but a 6-point increase. So it's significant. I mean, half again, the number was from out of state, but it's not the wave that some people have kind of imagined or envisioned happening. So yeah, and then how many of those folks are from out of state but are Montanans coming home? So there's an element of, we know that folks leave Montana, and that's one of our sad points, is that a lot of our graduates leave Montana for other states. But then they find out, maybe it's not quite grass is as green out there as it is back here. Right? It's turning a little less green right now, but yeah, I think there are some of those folks that are just flat coming home.
Yeah,
and we're glad to see that. So, but that was the best analysis we've seen of actually where some of the origination is of the buyers, and yes, it's an increase, but it's not what people are maybe portraying it as, like half of them are out-of-staters. No, not even close.
And I would assume, given that buying group, that the level of expectation. I mean, when somebody says that they've decided to move to Montana, maybe they work remotely, they can live wherever they want, they choose Montana. And I'm just kind of guessing, Webb, that their expectation when they do that is not, well, we're going to move to Montana and we're going to find a beautiful home for $200,000. They know they know the realville of Montana, and yet I want to say that they don't bat an eye at those prices, $430,000. That's not the case, but I think they by now have probably come to realize that those are the prices that they're dealing with in these markets.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in fact, I think recently, and I don't remember the source now, but Billings was one of the hottest markets in the state, as I recall, because they were showing those price increases. So, and folks can go online now, and they can get some good estimates from other places, as well as going right on our MLS. It's at 406mls.com. The website, and folks can get a sense of the market there. So I don't think it would be rare for folks to say, "Oh my gosh, I can't understand why Montana's price is so high." They can see it, and the media and others, like you, have reported that. So anyone coming in here, I think, is expecting to pay more than they would have in the past in Montana, and yet we are still significantly lower than some other of the hot spots in the country, as far as the actual price when it comes down to it. So I think there's still this element of Montana still a bit of a bargain. And you're absolutely right, Denny. A lot of folks don't have to be location dependent anymore, and who wouldn't want to live in Montana? So I think we are seeing more of that change, which has been so drastically implemented the last year. In fact, I think we've talked about this before too. The MRMLS office, we are all remote now. We're a tech company. We don't have a physical office.
Gosh.
We don't have to have people come in and pick up, lock boxes or check out any listings or anything like that. So we went as of, I think, January this year, we're completely remote. So it's a changing world. And so that, I believe, has impacted some of it too. Folks can still have a job, a tech job especially, anywhere in the world and live in Montana. So why not?
Those are big changes for your company. Are they good changes? Are you happy with the changes? Are there things you miss, or what's your take on that?
Oh, I absolutely miss the interaction and seeing the team and working as well. But we were dispersed employees already when I first started. There was only 2 that were basically in one location, and 3 others that were remote. But we would get together, with the the conference calls and all the rest, and then we got into the Zoom world and Microsoft Teams and et cetera. So, and yet I think on one hand we're pretty efficient. You don't have the travel time, you don't have the schedule with the kids, some of those things that were indicative of an office-based job in the past. So it's a mix. I guess, like I say, I like the personal interaction, but like every business these days, we're all making changes and adapting to new things. And so I don't see us going back to a physical location. It just doesn't really make sense. And as long as we have the great people we've got working there, I'm happy. Yeah.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO, with our guest Webb Brown, CEO of the MRMLS. So we've talked prices, and you talked about a remote staff on the job. Anything else, Webb? What have been some other changes in Montana housing markets that you've experienced during your time as CEO?
Well, a big change, of course, is that we're just not building enough. The inventory is just tanking, which is in part driving those sales as well. So when you just are not building enough homes for people to buy that need them, that's one reason the market is going up. Denny, we've talked about this before too. One of the issues that continues to bother me in this market is the housing affordability. Mm-hmm. And that's for folks, people, I've mentioned this before, people say, well, yeah, you're representing realtors. You want them to make as much money as you can. No, that's not the point. No. And when you think of people who are just entering the market, their first home, and it's all about home ownership, I want them to be able to have that home and afford it as well. And we are just at terrible levels of housing affordability. Looking at these same charts, and we get this report as well. Right now, through the end of July, our housing affordability index for the region, 76%, which means that the average income in Montana right now is only 76% of what it takes to buy that home. So you've got to find 24% somewhere else to be able to afford that home. And it just isn't happening. Mm-hmm. And that is a big concern for me. There's various factors in there. I think, the wage indicators that they're using are not updated as frequently, for one thing. And so when you're seeing these increases in prices, you're still using the old basis of that old wage. So I think there's some of that, but I know it is tough for people. I've got, young nephews and nieces that are looking for homes, and they're getting beat out time after time. And so, no, that's not a good thing. I don't like to see that index. And at this point, it's still going down. So the affordability is just not getting any better. We just need more homes, and we need those prices to, if not decrease, at least level out. And we need the wages to increase on the other side for folks to get into that first home. That's my wish.
Well, and like so many industries, there's the domino effect, isn't there, with raw materials and human resources. Builders can't get hammers and nails and boards, and even if they do, they're having a hard time getting staff to build. Right.
Well, we may have talked about this as well. I'm an old logger from the way back.
Oh, no, we haven't.
Grew up in the timber industry, and so, the stumpage prices don't seem to be reflecting the increase in the lumber prices. So that's an interesting perspective, but not only just the lumber prices, but you're right, all the other associated needs for a home as well. Switching gears a little bit, on the commercial side, we just had a meeting, and folks are opening a new hotel in Bozeman the other day, and they said they're what they call FF&E, their furniture, fixtures, and equipment shipments coming in from, somewhere, maybe China, 6 months delay in getting it. They are 6 months behind what they had expected to get it. So, all of those factors are, number one, restricting the supply, the ability to build, as well as the price of what it costs for that too.
Yeah. As CEO of the Montana Regional Multiple Listing Service, let's get back to some of your other relationships, common issues that you have to address with realtors, their questions and their concerns right now.
It's an interesting business, which I have been not as directly involved in it until now. But certification issues, there are some changes coming through the Board of Realty Regulation. It's quite a regulated industry, and I think that's one of the things we take pride in with the MLS is that we are working with the most accurate and complete information that we can to provide those folks. But then when they get it, let them scratch and bite and claw and compete amongst each other with what they do with that. So it's interesting way, like I say, the cooperation and competition at the same time. A lot of new people entering the industry, so it's a lot of making sure that they are getting things right when they list it. Time frame is very compressed. The National Association of Realtors is requiring now a term that's called clear cooperation policy, so that you have a listing and you are promoting it for sale, you have to get it into the multiple listing service within one business day. And we're seeing, we track and we actually send out violations and fines to keep our system clean and pure. And we're seeing, a lot of the newer folks are just, number one, maybe not familiar with the system, not familiar with the rules and all the rest. We require anytime you have a listing, whether you promote it or not, to get it in our system within 48 hours. But this is a little bit different from the promotion angle. So we're seeing some of that, but I think there's still a lot of folks involved and engaged, and I think the industry is, it's very competitive right now.
Sure.
Seeing a lot of upheaval and change, but at the same time, it's a good opportunity. It's not a high-cost industry to get into. We see a lot of women involved in real estate, which is great. Independent contractors running their own businesses and doing quite well. So I'm just blessed to be a part of it and enjoying it immensely.
You brought up a great example of the lack of affordable available housing in the state of Montana. In terms of land and houses available, Webb, for sale, other points, where is Montana strong, and what other deficiencies do you see that you feel should be addressed as soon as they possibly could be?
Well, we certainly have plenty of land in some areas, and we were talking the other day about, in some parts of Montana, the Forest Service land is basically pretty much all there is, and maybe a little strip of private property along the river or creek or whatever it might be. Creek, I have to keep reminding myself not to say creek anymore, even though I'm from Trout Creek, Montana.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a Montana guy saying creek by saying creek.
So I don't think that's really the limit for us. We do look at the regulatory environment, and that has an impact. We can argue how much impact that has overall, but anytime you're putting restrictions on, and some of them there's good reason for, you're going to limit the availability and increase the price probably. So those are some of the issues that I think we're looking at, and I know the legislature, there were some changes along those lines, so we'll see how that works through. But otherwise, no, I think we're in a good spot from a national perspective. A lot of folks are very interested in Montana. It's kind of this exodus from the cities, and as long as we have, good internet connectivity, we as I mentioned before with our remote office, we couldn't do it without technology.
Right.
So when we have a hiccup in our internet or our provider or something along those lines, which we do from time to time, that's a disruption of service. So we've got to have that, and as long as we can get that and improve that in Montana, we'll be just fine keeping up with others as well.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. And our guest via phone from his snazzy, I'm sure, remote office is is Webb Brown. Webb's the CEO of the Montana Regional Multiple Listing Service. Oh, I also want to say thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you the show every week. Miles Link with Opportunity Bank of Montana. Rob Fleming from Man Mortgage, and I believe Rob is scheduled to be on the show, if not next week, maybe the following. And Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. And back to Webb Brown, and you're close to 3,300 members, and the competition is ferocious. And I always like to ask you what makes a good realtor, and what advice do you give people who are interested in becoming, or maybe just getting started as realtors?
If you got the self-motivation, that's really all it takes. If you want to get out there and hustle and talk to folks, you got to be a people person as well, and you got to be flexible. The hours are, odd. You're working a lot of weekends, that sort of thing, but you're your own boss. It really is. I've been very interested in. My wife just started a couple of years ago, shortly before I started this job as a realtor, and she really enjoys it, and it's just, kicking it. So I'm very proud of her from that perspective too. But anyone who is motivated and is good with people, you'll do just fine. And I encourage folks to look at it as an opportunity, even though, there's a lot of folks in the industry right now. You can work as much or as little. You can have another job and do it as a sideline, or you can make it full-time and do very well with it also. So I would encourage folks. And I look to people like Diane Beck, who, thanks again for putting this on.
Yes, sir.
But, just great folks. And so I'm privileged to be a part of it and help them out in their business. But happy to talk to anybody at any time if anybody wants to talk about it too.
I'm glad you mentioned Diane Beck's name. I really need to get her on her own show. Sometime in the near future. She's the whole COVID thing didn't slow her down too much, other than some canceled concerts. Diane loves her concerts, so she's kind of back on the concert circuit right now. And I know you're still kind of a newbie on this job as the CEO of the MRMLS. But the other thing I always like to ask is about success stories. Anything stand out that you found particularly rewarding during your time as CEO?
Well, maybe switch gears a little bit. One of the things that we've done is the merger of 6 different organizations. You've got a lot of melding to do together. I've got a great board of directors that oversees that as well. Board of governors, actually, is the term for them. But we keep adding new things. We just added a new commercial software program to our basis. We don't require commercial listings. It's just the residential land that we require right now. But we've seen some significant increase in that commercial side, too. A lot of folks said, everybody's staying home like me, not doing office space anymore. Not true. We've seen a lot of activity in the commercial side. A new benefit that we've added for the agents themselves is a safety program, which has gone over very well. We're very pleased with that, too. So we're growing and going. We're not stopping or slowing down. We want to keep benefiting the industry and the participants in it.
Webb Brown, CEO of the Montana Regional Multiple Listing Service here on Missoula Real Estate Today. Anything I missed you want to get in before we part company there, Webb?
No, people have probably heard enough from me here. So thank you for what you do. We appreciate it, and getting information and education out to folks, and keep up the good work.
Hey, it's our pleasure, and look forward to talking to you the next time.
You bet.
And before we say goodbye, we do want to share with you a Becktacular listing of the week from Diane Beck and Windermere Real Estate. We're talking about 2010 Montana Street. This is a potential investment opportunity. 2010 Montana Street is a newer duplex in close proximity to trails, restaurants, and downtown. It was built in 2017. 2 units. It consists of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with double-car garage and a 2-bedroom, 1-bath single-car garage, both with stainless steel appliances, washer, dryer. Both units have private patios within the landscape yard equipped with underground sprinklers. Be a great investment opportunity, or owner-occupy. That's 2010 Montana Street. You can find out more by talking to Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit move2missoula.com. That's move2missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.